You intimate and intermingling is am you all, the hidden living source with me and with us all. All thanks and praises due unto am you all, the hidden living source. Today, I'm just speaking about, the am you all gave me the thought to speak about how the black family has been destroyed. I'm particularly talk about here in America and other colonized black worlds like Jamaica, all the Caribbeans, even Africa, matter of fact. Africa also, because we've all been colonized and we've all been placed under a law. The only ones that basically survived it is, I guess, the Muslims. We've all been placed under the law of Christian law. And in Christian law bans polygyny, or that's actually a man having more than one wife. It's banned, it's forbidden. And it's all based on some concept where it says a concept out of the Bible, and it says, according to the Christians, and Jesus said, when a man marries his wife, they become as one, or something like that. And or yeah, something like that to that extent. And I think they use that the basis where they was trying to say their God, Jesus Christ, said that man could only have one, but if you one wife. But if you look at all throughout the scriptures, all the greatest men and all the prophets, all the wise men, all the blessed men, they had most of them you read had a couple of wives, unless they were some kind of hermit or something like that. And you also find that not just speaking biblical wise, the cultures all throughout the world, the black man all throughout Africa. This is just cultural wise. The so-called American Indians, which is the black man, you know, even in China, where they got so many people, India, all the countries where the black man lives, we practice polygyny, where a man, part of the social concept was that a man could legally have more than one wife. That was the social construct. That's something that's been lived for hundreds and thousands of years, probably as long as we've been here. I mean, it's instinctive. It's inbred. It's inborn. And why would I, say it's a possibility for that to even happen? Is the fact that if you look at the ratio of men born to women, they always tell you there's a greater ratio of women being born to men on a daily basis. And they also tell you, according to their statistics, that the survival rate of the women is stronger at birth than the males at birth. So more women, female babies are conceived, and more of them survive the birth process. More males die off at birth, because sometimes you die, giving the babies die at birth or prematurely or something. And then during life, the life expectancy, as statistic points, that the women live longer. The female species lives longer, and they live longer in age capacity, and also the males have a higher chance of dying prematurely through accidents, wars, and every other thing. So that gives quite naturally an overabundance of females over males. So looking at this life and this creation that the MUR, the hidden living source, has made everything is balanced. Everything is worked out like in precise measures. And let's go to say with all of this overnumeration of females over males, if it was only meant for a man to have one, for the black man to have one female partner, then that would mean if that was to happen and he was limited to that, then there would be a lot of other single women around. And that's, so where do they go then? That's imbalance. That goes imbalance, you know. So that was part of nature. Even if you look at all the animal in the animal world, you know, if you see, you know, the strongest of the groups of the animal world, you know, of the strongest males, they always have, you know, a stronger pride, or you know, more women in their company or more females in their company, because you know, basically the whole thing about this, uh, and the reason why they have more females in their company is because they're looking to extend um, their generations. You know, they're trying to, you know, make babies. You know, to preserve their gene pool. Yeah, so you know, the strongest ones and the ones that's capable of, they try to have as sex with, you know, a few women or few females to you know, prolong their gene pool. That's, you know, to bring forth life after them, which that's the physical form of of eternal life or continuing life. And when you extend your gene pool, you know, so that's for an surety. You know, people talk about what happened after your bones and dust, after your bones and everything disintegrate into the earth. You know, we have all sorts of stories and stuff what happens, but that's all on speculation. But for a surety, when you leave your genes after you through, you know, either impregnated a woman or the woman having the child herself, because she leaves her genes pool too by having children. And the men leave their genes on this earth by having children, and leaving their genes, they're leaving direct replicas of they having they're having their deposited in their gene into the next generation. So in actuality, they're everything that's made up within that person that deposits that gene could like reincarnate again, because all the ingredients are there. So, you know, for a surety, we know that's an afterlife for a surety. And that's why we strive to actually have children, because we want to preserve our lives. You know, we want to preserve our gene pool. That's part of the law. And what has been showing me about the law of the creator, the law of the hidden living source, the MUR, we don't really need a book to tell us the law, you know, because the law is all around us. So we can see it all around us. All we just got to do is observe creation and how it's moving and how it's acting and what it does. And we see that is the law. That's the law. We see it living before us, you know. So, even for example, some people may say, you know, war is a human thing, but if you look at it, even animals go to war. Animals war each other. The two males you see there, when they try to get supremacy over, you know, who's going to extend their genes, you know, they fight. Some fight to or they don't usually fight to the death. They fight until one gets beat down, until the more powerful one takes over, you know. But if you look at ants, all kind of creatures, they go to war. So we can see that war is, whether it may seem quite gross and horrible, but war is part of the law. It's something that's ingrown within creation, created beings itself. Now, if we have war, if we choose to have war as human beings, then I guess we're supposed to conduct it on a level which would be equivalent and best for us to do it. You can always go into extremes, but that's what I say. But you can see the law. The law, if it's written in other creatures, then we're just creatures too. So that must mean it's written in with us. But we have a higher capacity of thinking and doing things, and whether we be cruel or what they call humane, makes the big difference when we go to war, if we have to go to war. But now there was a great or renowned Japanese, I think he was a Japanese general, a great, a famous Japanese general. I believe he was Japanese, and he wrote a book called The Art of War. The Art of War, a whole philosophy, philosophizing on all the concepts of, what you need to do to defeat your enemy. And in his book, when he talked about going into to destroy people, he didn't just talk about war per se, like actual physical war. He actually talked about the mental, spiritual, and physical concepts of it also. I do believe. But he did say this. This would have to be, where he mentioned to destroy a nation of people. He said, first, you have to destroy the family unit, because that's how a nation starts, first from one family, and then families come together, and family upon family. But if you destroy the family unit, then you have destroyed the main cell of the body. If the main cells of the body destroy, the body can't grow. So the first thing they went is attacked our family unit. That's why you see the black man today, or the melanated man, however you may want to call it, we have the weakest family unit of all the peoples. So that is one of the major reasons why we are the weakest people. So we have the weakest family unit. And even though, so what is the family unit, because unit actually means unity or something, joining together. The family unit, something joining together. And, families usually come together or started basically when the man and the woman comes together and have children, and operate as a unit. That's the family, and operate, so I'm going to say spiritually, culturally, socially, and economically to survive. So the bigger your family is, you know the higher are your chances of gaining I guess I'm just saying being more successful. Being more successful. The bigger family you have, the more children you have. The more children you have, the more workers you have. The more workers you have, the more you can get accomplished. The more security you have, so forth and so on, the more power you have. That's what the family units is about. That's why, some families are strong, even though when we was coming up, there might be one family that they know it was a lot of niggas in that family. That dude, even though he might have been subject to only one woman, she put out about 13 of them. You know, and a bunch of boys, a bunch of big lip boys and nappy head girls. And you knew, don't mess with that family. Because when it was time to come out, boy, they'd come out thick and heavy. And you ain't trying to go up against that because there's too many of them niggas and they crazy. But so, let's take things back to, in the rural areas and stuff, we were doing our own farming and stuff like that. We had our own land, the more hands that you had on the land, that was the more produce that you can produce. More you can grow, more that you can, the more you can handle. So that what's made you richer. Work hands. So that's what it's all about. But during this modern day time, what is it? According to the conquering European rule, is 1.5 children. 1.5 children. That's their way. And that's why at this point in time, their numbers are drastically being uh, overwhelmed by people who's doing a little bit more producing. Like they're saying the Hispanic, they're saying that the black man ain't really doing too much. But when I be looking around out in the street sometime, but I be seeing these young black girls with stair stepping children. I be like, okay, at least we ain't distinguished yet. We not they ain't put our lights out yet because somebody making them babies. Everybody ain't getting no abortions. You know what I'm saying? But the life is in our children. But seeing that we have been culturally conquered and forced to live under the guise of the European rule, we have been adapted their ways or have been forced to take their ways because they have taught to us that polygyny or having more than one wife is a great sin. I mean, great sin to the extent where they have outlawed it and made it illegal, but at the same time, you will see the Mormons. I guess that's the Mormons and those other counterparts of those people. You'll see they got about 5 or 6 wives up in them communes with about 100 kids, and everybody's smiling, everybody happy. They against them. They trying to shut them people down because they don't like the world seeing what it really could be like. But if you see them whiteys, they got about 3, 4, 5 wives, 6 wives. He's standing there with about 100 kids behind them, all of them smiling. You like, damn, that ain't even their way of life. And they done took our shit. They steal all our shit, and tell us we can't have it. But so yeah. So they outlawed that. So for one, that was our cultural way of life. That was our way of being. That was our way of family, and that's why today, like I say, that was one of our let me say it like this. It's a couple of thoughts that bombard my mind at the time that I'm trying to make about that situation. But you have okay, why is the banning of this situation of polygamy a downfall to the black family? That's the point that I really want to make. Is because the black man, people of color, the melanation, we have been living under these habits and rules instinctively of practicing polygyny, having more than one wife, that it was just a natural way of living for us. You know, that's why today, if you listen to his old song, bow wow wow whoopie wow wow wow, it must have been the dog in me. Bow wow wow whoopie yow yow way, or whatever that bullshit is. But it was an old Parliament Funkadelic song. And then he says, "Why does the dog chase the cat? It must have been the dog in me." And you know, I thought about that for quite some time. I said, "Why does the dog chase the cat?" But really, they was talking about why does the dog, which is supposed to be the black man, chase the cat, which is the pussy of the black woman or of the woman. Why does the dog chase the cat? You know, why? So that's basically why is man chasing after the pussy. You know, and I was like thinking about that. I say, you know, okay. Then one day after years of just thinking about that, something just came to my mind. Probably I probably knew it all along, but a dog chases a cat out of instinct, instinctively, because it's born within its genes. You know, it's born within its genes. That's why the dog chased the cat. You know, you ain't got to teach a dog to chase the cat. It's automatically, part of what's in it. And so you apply that to the black man.